Welcome to our second part of our careers collection, Getting Started, Finding Your Way into a Career in the Early Years. I'm Emily Askew and I'm a content writer for the Institute of Early Years Education, and today we'll be looking at some of the ways that you can look at the avenues into qualifications and pathways and some of the roles that you might take up in early years. So this is the second part in our series, and last time we thought about some of the ways in which you might think about looking into a career if it's something that intrigues you working in the early years sector. You might be looking for a little bit more detail about the things that you can get involved with, such as asking what roles there are to explore and what that career might look like for you. Today, we're going to be looking slightly differently by expanding on these questions and thinking about the roles and routes that you might take up based on your experience and your commitments. Regardless of where you are in your educational journey, there are a huge amount of ways to venture into a career in the early years. You can see here the typical trajectory of the qualifications you might take at certain points in your life. But it's important to recognise that everyone's pathways are different, so it's not a linear process that it might appear to be in this image. You might think of your career journey instead as a stream. So instead of like a motorway where everyone's going usually at around the same speed and they're all going in one direction, a stream is a lot more dynamic than that. You might have some undercurrents, you might have some rocks and hurdles in your way that make you move direction. You might have a trivet that goes off in a different direction entirely, and sometimes you might come back full circle and change directions again. Your career journey is not a simple linear one, so why should the qualification process be? The qualifications and training that you take part in when you're looking at a changing career will often be of a lower level than your highest career entirely. For example, you might have a career and a degree in business studies at which you are thriving at a certain level, but to change direction means that you need to retrain, and by doing so you look at a qualification at a lower level. This is not in a sense going backwards, but more about changing your theoretical and practical stance and learning something new. So at the start, level 2 qualifications are something that we usually complete during schooling. Around 16 years old, when we're taking GCSEs or National 5s, you might be involved in a BTEC programme or otherwise. And they're usually introductory courses, looking at a wider sector. So for example, health and social care, that spans across early education and care, but also other aspects of health and social care of adults as well. It might be an accredited level 2 course that you take later on in your career journey to develop in a very niche and particular area, such as neuroscience or child development. Mental health in the early years is also another popular one. Further education is something that comes afterwards in your 16 to 18 bracket usually, but like I say, it can be at any time in life. And that refers to education that you take in college or sixth form, and it often facilitates level 3 courses. In England, the level 3 course is the most common one for working with children because of the statutory requirements for qualifications in the sector. Higher education is typically something that you complete at a further education institute or a university. You might be looking at a foundation degree or a full undergraduate. You might be looking even to postgraduate studies such as a master's or PhD. And then you've got the professional qualifications that come along with that, such as qualified teacher status, early years teacher status, and early years professional status too. But remember, you never stop learning, and there are always opportunities to continue your development, and sometimes a new qualification can come along with that. Some of these qualifications that are specialist to the sector might be statutory, like your paediatric first aid to ensure that children stay safe. But other specialist qualifications could allow you to progress into a more refined role with different responsibilities, such as a SENCO or a DSL. You might be looking to create a role within safeguarding, and that would be an applicable qualification to providing that extra information that you'd need for fulfilling that role. Apprenticeships, as you can see at the bottom, span across a wide range of different qualification levels, and they combine on-the-job training with further study to provide opportunities for you to gain those qualifications whilst you're working. There are many different apprenticeship routes, as we've recently seen with the introduction of the early years teacher status apprenticeship route, which came in January of 2025. So it's a really great option for those who are already in a position. You might be working already in a nursery or a school-based setting and looking to progress in your qualifications. It might be something that you choose for your learning methods because you prefer learning on the job with a practical sense of what you're doing. The ways in which you choose to obtain your qualifications is entirely up to you, and it's a very personal decision based on your own strengths and circumstances. So it's important to ask the critical questions when you're coming to make those decisions, such as, would I like to study and work alongside? Would I like to work and learn on the job, or learn in a more academic environment, such as if you're doing a level 3 course that's more kind of theoretically based? What can I do with the qualifications I obtain is a really big one, because as we all know, careers shift and change, and it might be that you want to explore a different role within the sector later on in life. This can really help you to narrow down your options and find the best way for you to progress based on your own unique needs. But as we've asked, what can I do with the qualifications I obtain? Some roles will require you to have specific qualifications, such as working in children's mental health, for example, or as a health play specialist. That's where those unique routes are already set up, because it requires certain knowledge to be obtained in order to fulfill that role. And it means that you might have to follow specific courses or complete different professional qualifications in order to meet the standard that's required. However, lots of qualifications within early years and health and social care and childhood studies can be applied to a variety of roles. And that means that your initial qualification is actually opening up additional doors rather than shutting them. But it's not just about the formal qualifications you obtain, but also the skills that you bring with it. So moving beyond those formal qualifications, we often refer to your transferable skills or your soft skills, and they're about your personality and how you conduct yourself professionally. Skills such as communication and empathy, decision-making, teamwork are all super relevant to working in early education and care. But regardless of whether you've stepped foot into a setting before, you probably already hold some of those skills based on the things that you already do. It's important to highlight those and to really kind of shine a light on the transferable skills that would make you not only a qualified person to work in early years, but a great person too. It's important to highlight as well that some of these qualifications might be more applicable than others to specific roles due to the details of the course. So it's really important that you gain an understanding of what you will be learning and where you'll be learning it. And it's always advised that you inquire into the course details to make sure that it's full and relevant for the work that you do. You can do this by asking your course provider or visiting the government website to see what qualifications are full and relevant for working in the early years. The qualifications you obtain will be different based on where you live. England, Wales and Scotland operate slightly differently based on their curriculum, the funding and the qualifications that come with working in early education and care. For England, you might be looking more at the England-based resources, Wales, your Welsh ones, and Scotland, your counterparts too. But there will be loads of different opportunities to explore general advice as well that will give you a good idea of the kind of ethos that surrounds early education and care. Just be mindful when you're looking at your qualifications and statutory requirements that you follow the particular information for your region. As I've said, the Institute of Early Years Education is here still to help, and we aim to provide content that is relevant to everyone regardless of where they live. So visit our Career Pathways resources to look at some more general advice, such as why it's worth starting a career in the early years or exploring why that care really matters. You might look at some of our more practical help, such as understanding what a job description is or some top tips for interviews. All of this is available on the Institute website, and with some open access, it's important to have a look to see what you can gain. And if you're a member, feel free to have a look at your unlimited resources as exclusive access with membership. And finally, thank you. We hope this has been helpful. And if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with the information below. We hope to see you next time. Thank you.